Good evening. My name is Raymond Abel, and today I'd like to talk to you about type 1 diabetes. Not to mix it up with type 2 diabetes, which is totally, completely different. With type 1, it's where your pancreas does not produce insulin, as compared to type 2, your body produces too much insulin. So, the reason I like to discuss type 1 is because my daughter, who is 22 now, at the age of 13, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was in the hospital for pneumonia and was at the end of my first week of 2.5 weeks in the hospital. And my wife and 3 daughters came to visit me just prior to lunch, and then had left to go out and have lunch. A couple hours later, I get a call from my wife that they're taking her to her pediatrician because during lunch she wasn't feeling well. Her lips were purple, and to find out that her sugar was above 800. So she was transferred to a hospital about an hour from town, Sutter Roseville, because the local hospital couldn't treat her. She was there for the weekend to control her sugar. At the same time, that Sunday, I was going into surgery with pneumonia to have my lungs, my right lung, which had collapsed from fluid that had coagulated. I had had surgery to have that cleaned out. So my wife was back and forth that weekend dealing with me going into surgery, and my oldest daughter, at that time was 13, was being treated for type 1 diabetes. When it comes to symptoms of type 1 diabetes, thirst, frequent urination, unintended weight loss, which is the same for type 2 diabetes. Now, with diagnosing, it's not the same for everybody, and some patients are actually asymptomatic. But you can do blood work to check blood levels or sugar levels to diagnose patients with either type 1 or type 2. For treatment for type 1 varies. It's usually by insulin injections. Compared to type 2 is usually medication, pills. Also with treatment, insulin is injected, or it could be entered the body through a pump that releases insulin into your body. My daughter, who is now 22, and 6 months after she was diagnosed, started using a pump, and she's done very well with that, and has just made it part of her life. Now, with different insulin types, there's many, actually just quite a few. There's Humalog, Novolog. Some are short acting, and some are long acting. Short acting is for quick release, long acting is for a longer release. Now, with insulin, there's been a problem with cost. Back in 2001, a vial of insulin was $21. Today, it's $275 for that same vial. Now, it makes it hard for patients to afford insulin. There's been stories of patients not getting their insulin because it's either because they don't have the money or their insurance. So a lot of people have decided to either get groceries or get insulin. Pay rent, get insulin, which is not a good thing. It's something that this country needs to work on. It's unfortunate that patients have to or put through this. I mean, it's a life-saving drug, especially for type 1 diabetics. They need their insulin. Without insulin, they can go into a coma and pass away. With type 1 diabetes, there's life changes. For one, diet, counting macros, low carb, because your insulin is based on your carb load, and therefore that determines how much insulin you take. Same with type 2 diabetes. When it comes to life changes, diet is primary. the number one issue to deal with. And unfortunately, type 1 non-compliant could cost you your life, as in type 2 non-compliance can cost you a limb. And either one is not, something that, people want to deal with. But when it comes to diabetes, there are plenty of resources out there for you. Local, federal, there's local groups, there's organizations, there's federal organizations that help fund resources and the cure for type 1 diabetes. Thank you.